Good evening, everyone. I'm Regina Shearer, and I want to welcome you to the Winning Women Talk Show this evening. We're so glad that you've joined us, and we hope that you're going to enjoy this program. It's going to be a little different from what you're used to. And if you are a regular listener or viewer, you know that each and every week we try to present a different woman who shares her journey to doing that special something that she's passionate about, that has fulfilled her, that meets her aspirations and goal trajectory, but most of all, that allows her to feel that she's making a difference in other people's lives. And that's what fulfillment is about. And for me, winning women are those women doing that special something that fulfills their passions, but also benefits someone else. And so we hope that you've been enjoying the journeys you've heard, the stories they've told, and even the testimonies they've given about why they do what they do. And I hope that if you're someone who's thinking about making a change in your life, because while you may be good at what you do, it's not that something that really fulfills you. And you're thinking, what else can I do? Or even saying, I know what I'd like to do, but then I hope you'll hear something in their stories that will motivate and inspire you to say to yourself, if she can do it, so can I. And that doesn't matter. That's a saying that doesn't matter whether you're female or male. The a goal here is to let you know that there are obstacles in life, there are challenges in life, but you can overcome them if what you're trying to overcome will lead you to doing what will fulfill you. So, thank you for listening to what we're about. And what I also want you to know about is a way that you can participate. You don't just have to be a listener or a viewer. You can call us and tell us what you're thinking, ask questions, make comments, and the call in number is 781-384-5587. That's 781-384-5587. And if not, you can always email me. And the email is Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. You've been watching another lady on the screen, and she may look familiar. She's been with us a few times now, and she is joining us again tonight. Her name is, as you see, Erica Jarvis, and Erica is the project manager for NEI General Contracting. And she primarily has been involved in all around 30 or so projects that involve construction, renovation, even rehabbing them. And the thing I like about the company that she works for is they focus on trying to construct affordable housing. And that's what she's passionate about in the work that she does, making sure that that housing is top quality and yet is in those neighborhoods, communities, and places where people can afford to be able to live. They're beautiful buildings, and they're in places that have changed the neighborhoods as a result of their existence. And so I just want to say one other thing. She's not just an ordinary project manager, and NEI has, a headquarters up here in New England, in the Boston area, but they're also in Florida and somewhere else, Texas, or I don't know, somewhere else down south. They're not a small company, but this lady that you were looking at is no small peanuts either in what she does. As a matter of fact, in 2021, she was considered a high profile woman in construction. So, what an honor and what an award to receive that kind of recognition. She's a Wentworth Institute grad, so that tells you something. And she's not she obviously is one of those people who likes to achieve her goals. So she has degrees in architectural engineering and architecture. So we are glad to have you on tonight, Erica.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Very glad.
Well, we the last time we were on, we were actually talking about women and especially those who are doing other things. So I was talking about women in history, and Erica was talking about women of today. And it was great because she took advantage of the Winter Olympics and highlighted individuals and teams involved in that were female. But tonight we want to do something a little more different, and that is to highlight some women. Some of them you will be familiar with their names, and some of them you may not be familiar with, but you may say, I've heard that name because they've been on this show. So I want to talk about some women that have really touched me in what they do, and I think are doing incredible things because all of these women are in the 50 and under. So 30 to 50 is the age range for these women, and they're doing incredible things that are not just regional but nationally and internationally recognized. And Erica is going to do the very same thing but in a different realm. And so with having said that, I'm going to let you start this off, Erica, because I'm excited about the people that you're going to share and talk about.
Thank you. So am I. I'm very excited. And I just want to tell everyone, if you haven't done this, I encourage you to do it, because when you have a woman that you admire and you really start looking her up and looking into what she's accomplished and who she actually is, you can get really inspired. You can get knowledge, just you could see how much wisdom they've had, how much life experience, and you'd be surprised what you find out. And some of the things along the way that I learned and that I looked for was, um, who are they? Where did they grow up? Not that that matters at all, but just to kind of know where someone's from, right? Um, how many people were in their family? Sometimes they tell stories about being the middle child or the oldest or the youngest that are kind of funny and lighthearted, right?
Yeah.
And then something that you really like about them and a fun fact about them. So I tried to approach those three things when I was looking at everyone. So the first woman that I admire is Cece Winans, and she's a world famous gospel singer. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about her. And I'm just going to mention a few things that I found when I did my research on Cece. So she's one of 10 children, and she is the first girl that her mother gave birth to before her mother gave birth to 7 boys. So her mother was thinking, oh my gosh, like, I'm never going to have a girl. And she suddenly has Cece. And Cece, from what I read, admitted that, she felt like she was privileged because of that. Um, I won't say she said she was spoiled, but she was treated very well, right? Not that the other boys, not that the boys weren't, but she was treasured by her mother and her grandmother because she was the first girl. And she said that made her just be a really good child. And she did mention that her grandmother was a big influence on her life. Unfortunately, she lost her grandmother when her grandmother was the age of 64. So we would all say that that might be kind of young. But she remembered how graceful and how sweet her grandmother was. And she spent a lot of time with her grandmother. And I think if you've ever followed Cece Winans, you might agree that she has like a sweet grace about her. And you might feel it in her music too, which is why I admire her. So, as a solo artist with her brother, as a solo artist, I'm sorry, and with her brother BB, um, between them, they've won 18 Grammys, 33 Dove Awards,
Ooh.
23 Stellar Awards. And what I found was she tied Aretha Franklin for second place for an act from Detroit that won the most Grammys. The other person from Detroit that won more than them 25 Grammys with Stevie Wonder. So
Well,
very
that's
interesting.
good company to be in.
Yeah, it really is. She's actually the best-selling and most awarded female gospel singer of all time, CeCe Winans. So many of you may have already heard she was very close to Whitney Houston and was the godmother of her daughter Bobby.
Mhm.
And we know the story behind that. If you ever watch any interviews with CeCe, she'll give you some feedback about her friendship with Whitney and how hard it was during the loss of Whitney and her goddaughter Bobby. So she sang her first solo at the age of 8, and she's been performing officially since 1980. So what are we now? 46 years of a career
Mhm.
performing
Yes.
officially. Obviously singing her first solo at age 8, but 46 years is a long time. And she's on tour now, which should tell you she really has a heart to do this. She writes and co-writes all of her songs. So I
Mhm.
find that inspiring because she's writing everything that you're hearing her sing, and it sounds so genuine and just inspiring. And she's coming up with all of that herself. Um, she's coming out with a book or has a book called Believe, Passing on Faith to the Next Generation. I
Mm.
thought that I just wanted to mention that probably is a good book to read if you're a fan. And there's so many more things. I don't want to rattle off just a very
Oh,
official
that's okay.
list.
I'm curious.
So she has a strict ritual of drinking water, warm lemon water with honey before every performance. So she said she learned that from her mother 40 years ago and has continued to do that with every performance. And clearly it makes a difference because I don't think I've ever heard her sing like she wasn't prepared. um, and I wanted to mention to everyone, I watched a video with her. It's from 2023, but it's an interview that she had on Today with Hoda Kotb, and it's a really sweet and inspirational video. It'll kind of let you hear her talking about her experiences in her own words.
Mhm.
And one of the things I wanted to mention that I like about CeCe Winans is she's just humble, gentle. You always see her smiling, whether you see her on TV or on an album cover, on a magazine cover, just all smiles. And Hoda Kotb described her as just having an inner light. Even doing the interview with her, said this woman just brings so much grace and light to the room. And that is something to aspire to be like.
Yes.
And then one more thing I'm going to say, Dr. Regina, is she has said at age 58, at the time of the video, now she's in her early 60s, she felt the most strong, capable, and wise. So, that's just to say, as we're getting older, we shouldn't think that we will be perceived as somebody who's losing the ability to be strong and energetic and um, get a lot of stuff done. She said that that's when she's felt her strongest. And I said, okay, it's something to look forward to. I'm happy about that.
Yes. Yes. Listen, for those people who right now are listening to you and are familiar with CeCe Winans, and BB, they also know that there's others. More recently, although he's been out there a long time, one of her brothers, Marvin Winans, and a few others, their family is a very religious family, and so they've got some of her siblings are preachers, several of them are singers, and I wanted to know, did you uncover anything about the parents, aunts and uncles? Was music always in the family, I guess, or did their parents just give birth to 10 musical kids? Did you find out anything about that?
I don't know that I focus so much on that. I did learn that her parents were very religious. I think
Mhm,
maybe even both of them may have been ministers, if I
mhm,
recall.
mhm.
But I just know she had a loving family, and they nurtured all of them, all 10 of them. So they must have nurtured them to the point where they let them live their dream of singing, and they must have been a musical family. I'm not sure where they got it from, but if they didn't have it, they sure did develop it.
Yes, and, because I'm not good friends with the family in that way. I know a couple of them, but I'm not aware that any of those of the children are not musically inclined.
Wow.
Whether they play an instrument, sing, write music, right, or whatever it may be. Um, so, uh, but I was really surprised. I had no clue that she tied with Aretha Franklin for second place, um, and the number of Grammys that she's received
Mhm.
is certainly amazing. That's a lot. That's a lot of singing,
Yes.
and it's not just enough to still be singing 50 years later because for whatever reason right now we're in a day and time when there are a lot of musical people who are still going at it strong in their 70s and 80s, and um as you know, I have some engagement in that world, and I'm amazed. I keep thinking to myself, who would want to perform at that age? But you know, and yet when I think of someone like Tony Bennett, who until he passed away had a beautiful voice, and
Mm.
and 90 years old still doing that. It's just amazing. So they're in a great time where you can still 46 years later be going strong. And but when I was coming along, it was like being a model. You had a lifespan in the music world, and after that you had to hope somebody still wanted to hear you because you had hit songs that they loved.
Okay.
So it's a different world. But what was the one thing that stuck out to you the most when you researched her?
Um, let's see. The one thing that stuck out to me the most was just how wise she seemed. I think during her interview with Hoda Kotb, she had asked Cece to describe something about herself. How would other people describe her? And she said, even when she was young, people thought she was wise beyond her years.
Mhm.
And I just said to myself, that probably's always been true because the way she was speaking, she just seemed like somebody that you would go to for advice and that you wouldn't mind sharing with. So that's the thing that struck me.
Wow. Well, you shared some things I didn't know, and I love finding out new things about people that I admire. And she is a singer, and now I know. I didn't know most of her songs. I thought there were other people I was assuming there are people like Donnie McClurkin or Kirk Franklin or others who were writing for her, but how great it is that she can do that for herself. And I'm sure there's some others in her family that she could always go to as well. Well, I want to talk this evening about someone who was on our show last year. And actually, we had some technical difficulties, and I wanted her to come back, and she is increasingly busy. And I'm hoping this year we'll get her back with this new platform and better technology at work for us. But you may remember, if you've been a regular listener or viewer of this show, the name Sana Latrice Cotton. And Sana is an advocate for disadvantaged families and children, especially young children, um, who are in foster care systems. So whether it's the families or the parents or the children, she's very passionate about that system of foster care. She is the founder and she is the CEO of a organization called Unashamed Incorporated, and she leads that organization. It's dedicated to working with current and transitioning foster care youth, helping them navigate the system until they become young adults old enough to be on their own. So the primary age group is like 14 to 26, and she helps them overcome the shame of being in foster care, because there is a stigma sometimes attached when people find out. It's one thing to be adopted, it's another thing to have gone through the foster care system, right, from home to home to home. She helps them recognize their value, their purpose, their inherent value and purpose, and she helps them believe in themselves, that are they truly belong in this world, because that it's not syndrome that they're affected by, it's worthiness, right?
Mm.
Because when you're in foster care and nobody adopts you, then you feel like nobody wants me. What's wrong with me? And so she understands that because she was a part of that system. Sana actually works very closely with the Child Welfare Department in Connecticut. And so she's a consultant, she's a trainer. And like I said, she works with the young people, she works with the families, and she works primarily with prospective foster families to help them understand about the impact of how they support, discipline, and care for the young people in their homes impacts who they'll be as adults and how they'll be, right, as
Right.
adults. So I love that because, um, and in that process, the young people can become part of a this program, Unashamed, that especially if they get with a good family and recognize, but I can't stay with them permanently, right? That
Mm.
they can navigate those emotions of I'm finally here with a great family, and yet I have to move on. And so those experiences, those moments of coming together in support groups have made a difference for those young people. And so this consulting service, it's a commitment she has made, and I'm so happy for her because she's been on television. She's been This program that she's doing, Unashamed, is so popular. She has been on CBN's 700 Club.
Mm.
She has been on the Jennifer Hudson show to talk about this program, and she was honored as I think it was 2019, as one of the 100 women of color by the June Archer and 1128 Entertainment uh, organization. That's a very well known organization, and so I'm so proud of her. But she is viewed as a kind of anomaly because she handles dealing with these individuals um, so, I'll say, professionally. And I'm amazed at it because she herself is a victim of the foster care system that's unwatched.
Mm.
She has been in as a child. She was sexually assaulted, abused, and she's very humble as she works with these young people. Eh, Um, she also has had to, and I'm trying to look for the words, that's why I'm stumbling a little bit. I'll just use the word navigate, because in this system there's already set, as you know, set policies, set protocols for these families that are foster parents for these youth who are in the system. And she as she works alongside social workers and others, there are some things that can't be changed, right? It's policy, it's protocol, it's legislation, it's the system, it's bureaucracy, um, whatever you want to call it. But she's reliving, I guess that's the thing, she's navigating all of these things, but you can't be in that having experienced it in your life. And when you hit those walls, those impasses, those or experience those moments when it's throwback to something you experienced. I can only imagine that, but she does it. And and the comments are that she does it with grace, she
Mhm.
does it with humility, she does it with strength. And I that to me is the epitome of someone who's not only overcome things that people would stereotype and say, "Oh, she's out of the foster care system, be careful," right? They're not emotionally stable or psychologically stable or whatever people think about folk who've gone through foster care. Many people feel very sorry for them, but she has a strength, and she wants these young people to have it as well, so that they can say, "Don't feel sorry for me. I'm fine. I'm doing fine. I have um, a future ahead of me, and I know where I'm going, and I know what I need to do." So she's every year she has a major fundraiser, and I love that. And it's just to fund mentors, and the great thing is that a lot of the mentors are young people who were in the foster care system,
That's
that have
awesome.
gone through her program unashamed.
That's fabulous. It really is. And one thing I want to say too is it seems like, yes, maybe she might relive some of the trauma seeing what the situations are, but that I can't speak for her, but that might empower her more to want to fight for a good outcome for them because it wasn't initially an outcome that she was going to have. But if she can prevent somebody else from going through that pain, I'm sure she might gracefully try, and
Yes.
it maybe helps her get some of that power back that she felt like she lost. By helping someone else achieve the outcome that she couldn't get when she needed it.
Right. And again, relating a little bit to when you were talking about CC Winans, she married into a very stable religious family, right? Her in-laws
Mhm.
are both pastors, and her husband is now a minister,
Mhm.
and that all has served to give her even a greater and stronger solid foundation, right, to move forward. And that resiliency she has not only from her experience as a youth in the system, but also in her own personal challenges and traumas, um, has put itself to work. In 2021, she and her husband's son was in a car accident. It left him in a coma for 3 months,
Mm.
and his whole body had to be almost completely rebuilt. That's
Mm.
how bad the accident was. But that faith system, that support system that she
Right.
found in the church environment served, the prayer system, all of that, and they made it through. And I just I I thought about that when she was on the show and sharing it, and all I thought to myself was, "You've been through so much, and then you found your mooring, so to speak, right?
Mm.
And you said, okay, I'm going to be all right. Let me help others to be all right." And just while you're doing that, another challenge of a different type that hits close to home because it's at home, right?
Mhm.
It comes upon you. And but I think whatever she found, whatever that grit or resiliency was that she found in doing her work with in the Unashamed program,
Mhm.
somewhere there was some underpinnings there for her to
Right.
move through that experience, her and her husband, with their son. So, and she has two sons, right? And so I'm grateful that he made it through and is making it through. But I'm also just amazed that she does this work.
Yeah.
It I know that people, for instance, who have been substance abusers, um, in particular, once they go into recovery but stay away and build up that strength not to go back into that habit, that they are great mentors, right, for other substance users and abusers. And I just call them all survivors because when something has a hold on you, it has a hold on you. And she's
Mhm.
a survivor of the and I'll just call it the child welfare system, the foster care system. But um, to give back to something that brought you so much pain, to
Mhm.
continue to work in it is just remarkable to me. So she's that winning woman. Um, you didn't say it, but I also want to share that CC Winan sings songs of hope. And if you like gospel music and you want to find something to hold on to, that song that'll cheer you up, that'll give you hope, you need to listen to her sing because her lyrics are very powerful, right?
Yes.
And that work helps people to move forward. And what Sana does is the same thing. So there's some common areas between the two of them.
Right. That's great. Thank you for sharing about Sana. She really is doing great work, and God bless her for it because she's strong enough to continue in spite of the trauma that she's been through.
Yes, and if and for anyone who wants to know more about her, you can find out more. There's two things. You can go on the Unashamed website, and also she has a book out called "Everyone Will Know It Was God," and it talks about her overcoming her early, and this is early childhood. So you put that together because if you send your child to an early childhood center, that'll tell you the age, right? But she had early childhood sexual abuse, and um, she had a teen pregnancy and other things that complicated her life that brought challenges. But you can read about it in Everyone Will Know It Was God, and she's not ashamed to share her passage into being freed from whatever those things were that once crippled her.
Awesome.
Yeah. So who else do you want to talk about? Because
Oh,
get ready because we're going to let you share the last two that you have on your list. But we're going to take a quick break for one of our sponsors. We have to do that. And again, for those of you who may have just joined us, my co host tonight is Erica Jarvis. She's the project manager for NEI General Contracting, and she project manages construction, renovations, and rehabs for affordable housing. And we would love to hear from you as we talk about some women that we think are winning women who have been on the show or people that you may know that maybe one day we'll be able to have on this show. Call us at 781 384 5587 781 384 5587 or email me, Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. So we're going to take 30 seconds to hear from one of our sponsors, and don't go far. We will be right back.
Do you know how many people are harmed by domestic violence every day? Every minute, 20 people are physically abused by an intimate partner. Do you know what the leading cause of homelessness is for women? Domestic violence. Do you know how domestic violence ends? Through your help. If you know someone who needs help from abuse, please call Portal to Hope at 781-338-7678. Portal to Hope is a survivor-driven team seeking to provide shelter, safety, and a pathway to gaining an abuse-free life. Call Portal to Hope at 781-338-7678. We are here to help.
And we're back. Tonight, I'm being joined by Erica Jarvis. We're co hosting. And so we just finished talking about a couple of women. And Erica, who else would you like to talk about tonight?
Okay, so this next woman, everybody knows. I feel like if you're a woman of color, you should be very proud of Representative Maxine Waters from California. Okay, Auntie Maxine, and we know why, right?
Yes.
So just a few facts about her. She's 87 years old, going strong, can't stop her. She's like a freight train. Okay, she's the fifth of 13 children. Yes. I said, wow.
And now 13 is going up. Erica.
Yeah, and she clearly had to carve her way through. So she's strong. I feel like for one of those reasons, being one of 13 children cannot be easy, whether you're the first or the 13th or the fifth, like she is. So, and she was raised by a single mom from age 2. So I'm assuming the single mother was raising the 13 children at some point, mostly alone, and hopefully she got some help. I didn't dive in that far. But she did start out as an assistant teacher in a Head Start program in Watts, California in 1966. And I can't recall, is that when the riots were happening back then? Was around that time frame?
It started not long after.
Not long after. Okay.
Yeah.
She was there in the middle of that. So she was getting empowered for going through all those things. And I think that must have revved her up to be the person that she is today. So seeing that at that time, she's on Time Magazine's list of 100 most influential people, or was as of 2018. But once you're on the list, you're on the list. Doesn't matter when, right? Mm-hmm. She just received so many awards. I couldn't even call them all out here. Just know for 87 years, this woman has been a force, clearly. She also famously coined the term, "I'm reclaiming my time." I think we all know. And maybe we've seen clips of the video between her Auntie Maxine and "reclaiming my time." You know, those are like viral things that you see on T-shirts. Reclaiming my time. Apparently somebody used it as a song inspiration at some point after that. And it made me want to go get a Reclaiming My Time T-shirt, because at some point it might be relevant. Okay, so
at some point,
for one thing or another, right?
Right.
So she's the most senior of the 13 Black women serving Congress currently.
Right.
So, and she doesn't plan on backing down or stepping down. I'm going to read a quote from her in Congress, which means that if she's still in her current term, it would be her 17th term. Sorry, that's a little bit of an older fact, but
right. So she made it through that 17th.
Yes, I think she's at 17 now. So she made history as the first woman and first Black chair of the House Financial Services Committee.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. She also will be, with her 17th term, the oldest leader in the committee's history. So
she met that goal.
Yes. Kudos to her. And one thing that I did see is very few lawmakers will challenge her position because she's so good at it. So she doesn't really have many people running up against her, right? Because she's made herself known in that she does her job, and you can't say she doesn't, and you should need to challenge it, right? So I read that and it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, so she's quoted as saying, "If you take a look at my energy and what I do, I am Auntie Maxine. I'm the one who popularized reclaiming my time. I don't know who's got more energy, more concern. And so Maxine Waters seems to be doing all right." So I think a reporter had asked her, how she feels after all this time continuing to serve in this role, as if she shouldn't feel like she had the energy, or don't you want to retire? Don't you want to pass this on to the younger generation?
Mhm.
And that was her response. She said, "I've got the energy, so no, not moving on." Good for her.
I believe.
Yeah, and there were some politicians that had criticized her, saying, it's time for you to move on. And then one of them said, "You know what? She's still hitting her 3-pointers. Why should she move on? Right? She's still making the baskets, still making the goals.
Yeah.
No need for that when she cares and she's actually getting results. So never count someone out just because, they're up in age. Don't. I mean, she's doing more than most of us do.
Yep.
So
Listen, she's
yes,
not just making 3-pointers, she's making in the paint pointers and slam dunks and everything else.
she
She's
is awesome. And
amazing.
one thing I want to say also, that I like about her is she speaks with authority. Clearly, she's a strong and confident woman. She's energetic, and she seems to put up with no excuses. And I say that because you don't get as far doing what you've done in life without having that mindset. She's known for showing up places, knocking on doors, really making it known that she wants to make a change. And I respect that. And they also said she is a master of reinvention, which means that she's constantly learning and using new strategies and tactics to engage everyone in these current times, and even engage the younger generation. So she's not stopping. She's not going to let you, out TikTok her and out Facebook and out YouTube her. She's going to find out how to be on there too. And you're going to see her show up.
Yep.
So I respect her for that.
Yes. And I remember two distinct things about her. Um, I think it was Jimmy Carter's funeral. She was there and said a few words. And I remember she stayed maybe 2 minutes,
Mhm.
but what she said had everything to do with the humility and wisdom of Carter as president that people didn't appreciate in his time. I'll remember that. But the other thing was when Kamala Harris was running, right, for president, and she came out, and there, after she gave whatever the speech was, there they the press were interviewing other people in their responses, and on both sides, Republican or Democrat, the men had such enormous respect for her. And it was pretty clear you're not going to win being in opposition against Maxine Waters. You're
Nope.
just not going to win. Not the argument, not the bill, not the money, not what if. So they just said it's easier with her just to go along
Yeah.
because they felt she would never steer them wrong.
Yeah. She's a force. And clearly she's got the experience and the knowledge. And it's just, I respect her. I'll continue to watch her and see if I can keep up, follow along, and get inspired. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. For sure. W- We are going to take another quick break, Erica, and we will be right back. But again, we would love to hear from any of you. The phone line is working and the emails I'm checking. So 781-384-5587, or email us, Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Life can be unpredictable, and when those moments occur, you want the assurance that your family and property are protected. Sabatino Mastrocola Insurance Agency provides insurance coverage and security for every situation: home, life, flood, car, personal, or property. We're here to help you protect what matters most: your future. We are a full-service insurance agency providing experienced experts who speak Spanish, Portuguese, and English to assist you in acquiring the type of insurance coverage you need. That's the Sabatino Mastrocola promise. Contact us at 617-387-7466 or on our website, www.sabatino-ins.com. Get peace of mind today for uncertain tomorrows.
And we are back. Erica, I'm not going to swap off with you on this one because I know who you're going to talk about next. And I really would like to hear what you want to share with everyone. So go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. So, Miss Stacey Abrams, we know her on the political stage. I wanted to vary our professions and not give you two political ones, but Maxine was too important not to talk about and not to give, respect where respect is due. Stacey Abrams, I was going to save this sentiment until the end, but this woman should really run for president. She really should. So just a few facts about her. 53 years old, is a lawyer, graduate of Yale Law School, graduate of Spelman, activist, voting rights proponent. She does so much, right? What I think she's most famous for is she was elected to the Georgia House of Representatives in 2006. And by 2010, she was the first Black American to serve as minority leader in the House. And in 2018, she was the first Black woman to win a major party's nomination for governor. So that would be Democratic governor nomination for Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And you know the history of the southern states. So she's responsible for turning that state, I won't say fully blue, but at least purple. I think she is solely responsible. If you ever listen to her speak on podcasts or on interviews, you'll see she's just a very intelligent woman, very logical. You can't argue with the points that she makes. That's how I see it, right? You may not agree. You might be on the other side of the political spectrum, but you can't argue with what she says, right? In my opinion. She's also an author, including children's books, which I didn't know. She's a New York Times best-selling author as well. So I looked up how many books she currently has, and there are 15 of them. So
well, I didn't know that.
One of them is a thriller. Okay, so some of her books are educational, some are fiction, and then there are children's books. So because I have Audible and I don't read as much as I'd like because I don't stay still and take the time, I can listen to a book on Audible in the car, and that's what I'm going to do now that I know she has all these books, right? She's the second oldest of 6 children, and she's made the Forbes list of 100 most powerful women. So, and that doesn't surprise me, right? This is a fun fact about her. So she said she prefers Star Trek versus Star Wars. And she's a Trekkie. Like she's really into Star Trek, fascinated with it, right? And she's not shy about that. She actually, I didn't know this, starred on an episode of the newer version of Star Trek that's on Discover / Paramount Plus.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yes.
the role she played on that episode of Star Trek was the president of United Earth. Interesting title.
Right.
And yeah, when the show heard that she was a fan of theirs, they actually invited her to star in that role, and she was thrilled. She loved it. She loved it, and it was so cool to hear that. And she also went to a performing arts high school, so I think she appreciated the
Ah,
art of acting, and probably writing, given that I didn't even know she was an author. How could I have missed that? I was just paying attention to the political side of things.
I knew that she had written children's books. I didn't know how many or anything like that. I didn't know at all that she was engaged in writing on in other areas. So, well, is it? Does she have a pen name, or is it under her name, Stacey
I
Abrams?
think it's actually under her name. Yeah.
Oh,
I if you do a search online, I think there might be more than one author named Stacey Abrams, so it can get kind of confusing. But when you look for the Stacey Abrams, who was or is a politician, and they reference that, you'll see the associated books.
hmm.
So we know that she advocates for election reforms and voting rights. There was a really good video that I found in my research, where she did an interview, and this is back in 2019. It's a 26-minute video, but the stuff she said back in 2019 is happening right now. The way she talked about them wanting to check voter ID and change, eligibility requirements, it's happening right now. That's why I'm saying she thinks ahead. She knows what's really going on. I recommend you watch it. It was on PBS. Stacey Abrams with Evan Smith.
Hmm.
So if anyone has a chance to look that up, I think you'll be enlightened when you watch that video. She also hires a diverse group of young people because she's trying to pay it forward. She really wants to teach the next generation what to be prepared for, and how they should view things so that we don't get into the situation that we're in now.
Right.
And one thing I like, a few things I like about her is when you actually hear her speak, when you listen to her in the videos, you'll see they could ask her a complicated question, but the way she explains it, she just makes it plain so that everybody can understand it and follow. That's what I appreciate about her. She knows how to sift it and get it to you, even though, you might not be somebody that has the law degree that is on the political stage. She figures out how to break it down in a way that you're going to appreciate what she's saying and you're going to understand it. She just also knowledgeable while being witty and funny. She really keeps the audience engaged by answering questions seriously, but then throwing in a little joke or some kind of lightheartedness. I found that was really cool too, watching her speak. And I just, like I said, I think she should run for president because why not? This is a really smart woman. I would say the same about Michelle Obama, but I know she doesn't want it, and I don't blame her.
Oh, so you're going to give Michelle a pass, but Stacy's got to throw her hat in the
Yeah.
ring. Is that what you're
Michelle's
saying?
spent her time there. She kind of probably did it 25% of the way unknowingly anyway. So
Well, I think that Stacey Abrams was, and I'm just being honest, wasn't even on my radar until the prior election
Mhm.
because she played a pivotal and enormous role in getting Black people in particular, but folk out to vote. She pushed it every which way but loose, right? She
Mhm.
got the people concerned and she got them invested and she got them engaged, knocking on doors and doing every single thing and taking advantage of every voting medium, voting, possibility so that people would not have an excuse why they couldn't go and
Sure.
vote.
Yeah.
And in spite of threats of what was going to happen if they showed up at voting centers, that she had people organizing transportation and the largest group of voters ever, especially among people of color in Georgia, that in that election, in Georgia. She made that possible.
Yes.
And Trump wasn't very happy about that. And neither were a lot of Republicans, but it didn't matter because she started something and she brought about an awareness,
Right.
right, of how important the vote is.
Right.
And I give her kudos, and that's when I said, this is some kind of woman.
Yes.
I'd heard her name here and there, but that push, that impact was amazing. It
Yeah.
worked out the way she wanted. And I know I pay attention now. And she's not interested in the redistricting efforts they're trying to do in the state, right? Because of the next election and voting or gerrymandering or anything. And she is still in favor of the ballot, mail-in ballot vote. But I know you're absolutely right. She said these things were going to happen. She has reminded us several times in the last year that what she had said, they're trying to make happen now. This whole
Right.
thing with birthright citizenship and a few other things that will impact who can vote, right? If things happen. But whatever she decides may be the next move, all I can say is people need to watch out.
Yeah,
She,
yeah, and get behind her because she is worthy, I think, to get behind. She's seeing ahead for us. She's thinking ahead in ways that other people aren't investing their thoughts in.
and she had her life threatened, her family's life, right? And she persisted in spite of.
Wow.
So I love the fact that she has confidence, she has character, and she's not, they tried to find all different things to accuse her of, didn't work. And when people keep plowing forward in spite of all the efforts to take them down, she's that type of person. I applaud them. I
Yes.
have to pay attention to them. You know, she's not a crazy fanatic. She's not, she's extremely intelligent. She's poised, and you're right. She can simplify things that make you feel she wants me to know this, right?
Right.
She's not talking above my pay grade or my head or my position. She
Mhm.
wants me to understand.
Right.
So, yes, I applaud that lady. And
Mhm.
I applaud you, lady, for being on this show tonight.
You.
I had a couple of people, but I wanted to hear about Stacey Abrams, and so I thank you for the people you chose tonight. For those of you who have been with us and have stayed with us, I just thank you so much. Thank you for the emails too. And basically, Erica, they were applauding the choices of people and sharing. Their comments were very appreciative of knowing these things about the individuals. So I hope you enjoyed that. We're going to try to have Erica on once or twice more this year to do this kind of thing with us on different topics. But thank you for spending time with us this evening with me and Erica. And thank you so much for knowing that winning women come in all types and in all age groups and from all size families, as we heard tonight. But most of all, that when you have heard about them, that you still can say, if she can do it, so can I. So thanks for being with us. Join us again next week, same time, same place, for another winning woman on this show called Winning Women. Don't forget, love somebody.